devotees for joining us here on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as on Zoom. And congratulations for making this intelligent decision to spend your weekend in this way. So we will get started with our conversations on Bhagavad Gita, but after this, prayers to the spiritual master. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurun militam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vande Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gaur Premanande
Very well.
Hey, so let's see who all are there. Aruni Mataji is here, Varshana is here, Madhav Sangini Mataji is here. All right, this is going to be a good, lively session, except for it has to stop at 10 today, at 7 today.
Hare Krishna Karan Mataji, Varshana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Sutapa Mataji.
Sutapa, which verse are we going to do today?
Yeah, 7.6.
7.6, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, the points. Okay,
7.6.
so let's get started on that. Then what do you say? Should we? Shall we get started?
Okay, 7.6.
Right. Okay, then now no disturbance in the class. Let's get going. 7.6 coming up on a screen close to you.
Mine is also 7.6. Yes, my marker is also 7.6. The Y is correct.
Okay, 7.6. Etad-yonīni bhūtāni sarvāṇīty upadhāraya ahaṁ kṛtsnasya jagataḥ prabhavaḥ pralayas tathā. Etad-yonīni bhūtāni sarvāṇīty upadhāraya ahaṁ kṛtsnasya jagataḥ prabhavaḥ pralayas tathā. Etad-yonīni bhūtāni sarvāṇītyupadhāraya aham kṛtsnasya jagataḥ prabhavaḥ pralayas tathā. Etad, these two natures. Yonini, whose source of birth. Bhūtāni, everything that is created. Sarvāṇi, all. Iti, thus. Upadhāraya, no. Aham, I. Kṛtsnasya, all inclusive. Jagataḥ, of the world. Prabhavaḥ, the source of manifestation. Pralayaḥ, annihilation. Tathā, as well as. So what's the meaning of prabhavaḥ?
Annihilation. No, I'm sorry.
Source of
The
manifestation.
source of manifestation.
A source of manifestation.
Manifestation.
Varshana Mataji, prabhavaḥ. Does it remind you of anything?
Her favorite verse.
Reminds her of her favorite verse. She's on mute though, I don't know.
Matchitta matgat pranamoriyanti parasparam.
Ah,
No, Mother. Aham sarvasya prabho mata sarvam parvartate iti matva vajanti mam buddha bhav samaveta.
Nandita, right, correct, for 500 points. Okay, so prabhavaḥ, what is bhūtāni?
All living entities.
Everything created.
Everything created.
Everything created. Bhūtāni is not living entities necessarily. Sarvāṇi means,
All.
and what is yonīni?
What is what?
Yonīni.
Whose source of
Yonini is birth,
Source of birth.
source
right?
of birth. I'm
Birth,
sorry.
yeah. They're like a womb, right? It's the
Yeah.
source of the birth of human beings called yoni. Okay, there are other meanings as well. Okay, now tell me what is the meaning of kṛtsnasya?
all
All
inclusive?
inclusive.
Inclusive.
All inclusive, right? So you go and buy something, it's an all inclusive packet, right? Like when you take birth in this particular birth, it's an all inclusive package. You get birth, you get death, you get old age, you get disease. What do you say about that package that you've gotten? All of us have gotten over here. All right. Kṛtsnasya.
All inclusive.
Everything is there. There's joy, there is sorrow, there's lamentation,
inclusive.
there's fear, there's envy, there's greed, pride, you name it. Daya, vatsalya, moha, everything is there, right? So all created beings have their source in these two natures. So what two natures do you think Kṛṣṇa is talking about? All created beings have their source in these two natures.
Of
Birth
the
and death.
source of
One at a time. I heard birth and deaths, that answer. And what else?
the source of
material
manifestation.
and transcendental.
Say that louder, Madhav Sangini.
Like material and spiritual.
Correct. Yeah. All created beings. And where did we talk about material and spiritual?
The world and the source
No,
of
no, no.
manifestation.
Elsewhere in this chapter, where did he talk about this? The two natures. In chapter 7.
Text number 5, superior energy and material energy.
He
I
talked in
think
text number 5. 7.5, he talked about that.
Yeah.
superior
Okay.
energy is the spiritual one.
That
All right.
besides my inferior energy, I have
Okay.
a superior energy which comprises of living entities.
Okay. Who are exploiting these. All right. So that is 5, right? Did he talk about, so 5 is talking about what energy? Superior or inferior?
Superior.
Superior. Okay. I'll take that. So where is he talking about the inferior energy?
7.4.
7.4. Correct. What
Bhūmi,
does
apo,
7.4 say?
agni.
Yeah.
Mirapo nalo
Bhūmi, apo,
vaikam
analo,
treva.
vayu. Khamanu
Ahankaram
purte
iti me
vimu.
bhinna prakrtirashta.
Ashtadha. So now you know, in 4 he talks about the
Inferior.
inferior. In 5 he talks about the superior. And what is
Superior.
the superior energy doing? What does he tell you in 7.5?
Exploiting the resources of material nature.
They are exploiting the inferior energy. In other words,
The
right?
living
Superior is
entity who are
exploiting the inferior.
living
right?
entity who are exploiting the resource
Right.
of
So now in 7.6, he's saying that all created beings have their source in these two natures. Everything that is created is either material or it is spiritual. Right? They have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everything that exists, dissolution, what was the Sanskrit for dissolution?
Pralaya.
Pralayas.
Huh?
Pralaya.
Pralayah.
annihilation. Pralayaḥ. Annihilation.
Pralayah. Go slow.
Pralayah.
Pralayaḥ.
Okay, pralay. They say, right? Pralay aa gaya. Pralay ka time of dissolution, devastation. Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the Supersoul, Viṣṇu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combine to manifest this gigantic universal form, are originally two energies of the Lord, and consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, namely the living entity, which is us, may be the cause of a big skyscraper, a big factory, or even a big city, but it cannot be the cause of a big universe. The cause of the big universe is the big soul or the super soul, and Kṛṣṇa, the supreme, is the cause of both the big and the small souls. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. This is confirmed in the Kaṭha Upaniṣad. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. There's only one that satisfies the desires of everybody, right? And that is Kṛṣṇa. So from Kṛṣṇa comes the super soul. This is the soul of the universe. And inside the universe also, there are fragmental parts of Kṛṣṇa. And those are us, the living entities, who are exploiting the big material world. Like that, right? Okay, so we'll stop here and take some reflections on what you heard so far. What did we read? What did we hear? What do we remember?
Kṛṣṇa is the source of everything. Everything emanates from him, either
Yes.
matter or spirit. Whole of the universe, all the
And
things
what
are
is
created
this?
out of two natures.
What is the Sanskrit used for everything in the current verse that we have? What is the Sanskrit used to represent the word everything?
Sarvāṇi. Is it sarvāṇi or something like that?
Kṛtsnasya.
Is it what?
All was sarvāṇi.
Kṛtsnasya, all inclusive.
All inclusive. Kṛtsnasya, everything inclusive, right?
Kṛtsnasya.
So I was looking for the word kṛtsnasya, although sarvāṇi is also there and it also means all. Kṛtsnasya, it's a tongue twister right there for us.
Kṛtsnasya. Sarvāṇi.
Etad-yonīni bhūtāni sarvāṇi. Sarvāṇitya upadhāraya ahaṁ kṛtsnasya jagataḥ prabhavaḥ pralayas tathā. Right? So, okay, so you said that based on what we have read so far.
Mataji, is there any difference for Sarvāṇi and Kṛtsnasya?
Sarvāṇi is used meant for all. The same difference that it is in all, and difference between all and all inclusive.
So both are same.
Right, the same, yeah. But they use it. One will be more impactful in depending on the condition that you have, right? Like I said in the beginning, that we got an all-inclusive package from Kṛṣṇa in this material world: birth, death, old age, disease,
Yeah.
matsar, jo bhi hai, sab kuch. Yeah, Varshana, you were raising your hand, is it?
Yeah, Mataji, I just wanted to say that though this material body is made out of Panchabhuta, but unless the spirit is there, it does not develop. So I really like this point.
Right, right. That's a very interesting. That's a very interesting point that you bring up, which Prabhupada has also emphasized in the purport there, right? So he's saying that it's the spirit is the cause of matter, and not the other way around, right? Matter cannot create spirit. And matter by itself, and we talked about the six stages when a person comes to this material world, right? What were the 6 stages? Person is born,
takes birth, grows,
right?
stays
Reaches
for a while,
procreates,
gives byproducts,
right?
and
Dwindles
then
down, becomes old, and finally
and death.
dies, right? So those were the stages through which the body goes. And so why does the body die? Because the soul leaves the body. Utkramantam sthitham vapi bhunjanam vyagunanvita vimudha nanu paschyanti jnana chakshushaha. it says is that when you get the eyes of knowledge, jnana chakshu jab mil jate hain aapko. So when you have jnana chakshu, then you're able to see that life and death is nothing but a soul entering, birth and death is nothing but a
Getting out.
soul entering into the body and a
Getting
soul
out.
leaving
Leaving
the
the
body. Right? That is death. Utkramantam sitham vapi. So kramantam, kram means step. So you step into the body, birth.
Step out of the
Step
body.
outside of the body, death. So when vimudha nanu paschanti, when a person is vimudha, mudha is stupid and vimudha is super stupid, very stupid, right? So he's saying vimudha, if you don't understand, you're not even stupid, you're super stupid not to know this. That's what he's saying. So vimudha nanu paschanti, cannot see, nanu paschanti. Paschanti jnana chakshusha, but when your eyes are open, right? Through knowledge, when your eyes are open, you will see that. Right? And there's this famous thing about a famous quote that Srila Prabhupada used to make when somebody's father died. And he was like, my father has gone, my father has gone. You're like, why are you saying your father has gone? Your father is here, right in front of you, like a coffin. Right? It's the soul that has gone. So subconsciously we know that. And the languages also support that. Right? Like, say, wo mar gaya. Hindi mein dekho, wo mar gaya.
Mar gaya.
Kahan gaya? Yahan to hai. Mar gaya. Right? My father left, like that, departed, right? So who departed? Like that, right? So the languages also support that because all the languages have originally emanated from Sanskrit, and Sanskrit was used to define Kṛṣṇa and this entire universe. This has been created, which we are talking about, both the phenomenal as well as the numinous, right? Both the worlds are created by Kṛṣṇa. So,
And Mataji, most of the time it is said, you see, when somebody dies, the body is lying. We don't say the name of the person that he is lying. We always say, Sharir pada hai, the body is lying.
Correct. Very right observation. Yes, this is Sharir pada hua. Yeah. I'll also like to welcome Yugal Hada Mataji. She is, I think she's using her daughter's Zoom account. And
Hello,
as
आवाज
Anushka.
आ रही है?
आवाज आ रही है, चेहरा भी दिखा दो। नहीं दिखाना तो भी ठीक है।
आज
चेहरा दिखाना हमको।
मैंने माता जी को बोला था कि when I talk to her, she's my god sister. I had also told her, given her the choice that if you come on Zoom, you have a choice not to be on Zoom.
मैं रूम के अंदर नहीं हूँ, थोड़ा मतलब रूम के अंदर नहीं हूँ, बाहर हूँ, तो ठीक है, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है दिखाने।
किसमें आ रहे हैं, किसमें आ रहे हैं, क्या नाम, क्या नाम?
युगल, अनुष्का नाम से आ रहा है, नाम युगल।
अच्छा, ये ए में आ रहा है,
पता नहीं स्टार्ट है,
हमको ए आ रहा है इधर।
अनुष्का आ रहा है, हाँ।
डॉटर का है एक्चुअली, अभी मुझसे हो नहीं
अभी
रहा।
अनुष्का आया, अभी अनुष्का आया।
पता नहीं, मैं दिख रही हूँ कि क्या हो रहा है, बच्चे ने कुछ कर रखा है आई थिंक।
बच्चों का ये रहता है, कंप्यूटर हो जाए।
Now here's a question for you all that we are asking her to show her face. Now tell me a verse where a devotee is asking Kṛṣṇa to show us his face. It's a very famous verse. Bhakti Shastri students, you should be able to answer that.
I'm not Bhakti Shastri.
Okay, you are excused.
नहीं, बट कृष्णा का फेस, अर्जुना ने पूछा, नहीं
अर्जुना ने कब पूछा?
अर्जुना साथ में रहते हैं ना, वो कहाँ पूछेंगे?
हाँ, क्या पूछेगा?
वो नहीं पूछेंगे।
It is from Upanishad. Hiranyamayeena patrena satyasya mukham tattvam pushana pavrino satya dharmaya kalpate drishtaye. Right? So what is he saying over there? That he's telling Kṛṣṇa that your face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Right? Like if I take a torch in my hand, and I throw, hold on, Vrindavali Mataji. If I throw this flashlight on your face with my hand like this, then all that you'll be dazzled. All that you will see will the light. You will not see me behind the light. That's what happens when Kṛṣṇa is so full of effulgence. That's, we get blinded by his dazzling effulgence, and sometimes we think that effulgence is Kṛṣṇa and that is God, and therefore the God has got no form. because we are dazzled. Right?
Hmm.
But when a guru opens your eyes, Om Ajnana Timbrandasya
Jnana
Jnana
Shalakaya.
the eyes he opens with the eyes of ointment of knowledge. He puts the ointment of knowledge in your eyes. Surma, ज्ञान का सुरमा आपके आंखों में डालते हैं जब भगवान. So then you are able to see the real truth. Right? And so that's why we need a spiritual master to open our eyes and guide us over there. Okay. So now interesting thing. So we talked about that soul creates matter and it's not the other way around, right? So there was a very interesting, I'm forgetting, he was a Belgian scientist. I remember my mom was a biology teacher. She used to teach and sometimes I had to go and sit in her class and see. So she was talking about this Belgian scientist, I'm forgetting his name, Van, something or like that. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So what he did was he did an experiment. He took he took some shirts which were sweaty, and he took some grains of wheat, and he put both of them in a jar, and he left it like that somewhere. And then after some time, there were rats coming out of the jar. So he said, if you the conclusion of this experiment was that if you take some sweaty clothes and you put some wheat, the two of them combine and rats are created.
Rats are created?
That was his theory.
I thought the
So-
sprouts will come because of the wetness.
Nothing will come. His theory was rats come because he showed. And because, if you take some sweaty clothes and you put some grains in some corner of your home, of course, rats are going to come, right? So people
Yeah.
come up with all kinds of theory. And what basically he was trying to show is that from matter, a spirit can be born, right?
Oh.
From the clothes that do not move and from the wheat that does not move or talk or do anything like that, right? Nor do they grow. A grain of wheat will not grow once it's outside, right? Doesn't grow, doesn't do anything. But from there, I'm able to produce something that moves, rats. It was a very famous theory. Of course, later on, Louis Pasteur kind of condemned that theory. And of course, we came back to the straight path. So those who are envious of God and try to not connect ourselves with the Lord, that's where the problem is. So people can make the connection. Right, scientists with no connection to Kṛṣṇa or no connection to God can, through Sankhya Yoga, they can look at the world around us and they can say, okay, 7.4, Bhūmi, Apo, Analo, Vayu. Okay, so there is water. So now you can go and take a Coca-Cola bottle and then you can connect the two in the sense that, oh, there's water here also. Okay, you go and look at a river, you see water, say, okay, there's water there. So you're making that mental connection, right? Similarly, you can make fire in the belly, fire outside, fire in a cigarette, fire in the gas stove. You can make all those connections, right? Scientists will make all that connection. They will go look into the microscope. They will go do experiments and they'll tell you the exact formula of alcohol, benzene, all those things. They will, hydrogen sulfate, all those sodium sulfate, sodium chloride, all those things they will go do and do, right? How the atoms bond with each other, how all those things do, they will tell you all that. But so they will connect things amongst each other. But what they fail to do is to connect it to Kṛṣṇa. If you were to connect things to Kṛṣṇa, there would be no way for you to do these silly experiments like take some wheat and take some sweaty shirts and then produce rats out of them. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's where it talks about the movement of a living entity as to how a living entity is born inside the womb. It says that Devya Netrena means under the supervision of Dev, under the supervision of Kṛṣṇa only can a living entity enter
The
into
soul
the
will
womb,
go.
right? Otherwise, why will there be childless couples, right? Things like that, right? So, and people sometimes think that, oh, I'm able to do in vitro fertilization, test tube babies and all that. It's only when Kṛṣṇa wills that a soul should come inside that, then only will it happen. Otherwise, it does not happen. So Bhakta looks at things in a very, very different manner as compared to what is being, as compared to what normally the scientists are going to tell us, right? So that is something that we always need to keep in our mind, right? That there is a superior soul. And then Prabhupada talks about that superior soul is there. Eko bahunam yo dadati kamam. Cheto chetarasnam, chetananam. Right? So he's saying that among all the souls that are there, there's one big soul. So there's plural and there is singular. So there is only one God that we have to keep that in mind. So first thing, like which you pointed out over here, and which was also pointed out in the purport, was where Varshana Mataji also pointed out her favorite words, ahaṁ sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhav samanvita. So what that means is that I am the source of everything. Ahaṁ sarvasya prabhava, everything emanates from me, is created by me, right? Matta sarvam pravartate, right? It's the same concept. Iti matva bhajante man. So once you understand that, then you do bhajante, then you start worshipping Krishna. Buddha bhava, those who are intelligent, they will sit together and then they will start worshipping the Lord, right? So those are the people who understand that Krishna is the source of everything, right? Now, so that means everything that we have is from Krishna. Okay. Now, one more thing that we have to also understand is that everything that is happening around you, okay? So one is the material creation. Things are there, okay? I have this thing in my hand, right? If it drops and falls to the ground, why does it drop and fall to the ground? What happens is all these happenstances, all these things that are happening,
Gravity.
these things are, and what is gravity? All these things are happening because of Krishna. That is a very important thing to remember. And there's a nice verse in Bhagavad Gita that I'd like to bring up over here, which will come much later in the 13th chapter, but it's worth bringing up. And a lot of you would have, you would be familiar with this verse as well. So let me start sharing this verse here. 13.23 coming up. Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha parmatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purusha paraha. And then Prabhupada translates that yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter and is known as the Supersoul. So in 13th chapter, Kṛṣṇa basically is talking about defining this body as a field of activities. This human body that we have, or this material body that we have, living entities have, is a field of activities which are carried out by the senses or the sense organs, right? And now he's also saying that in all these fields of activity, the various fields of activities in this material creation, right? So he's saying that in this body, there's another, and these fields of activity, what are they? They are enjoying, which we also saw in the previous verses where they said that they are exploiting, the superior energy is exploiting the inferior energy and enjoying for the purposes of enjoyment, right? So now he's saying that inside that same body, there is another transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, which we know as the Paramatma.
Paramatma.
And he's, yes, and he's an overseer and the permitter. So overseer and the permitter is Uptadrashmanta Anumanta. Upadrashta Anumanta. Upadrishta means he oversees everything. Anumanta, he permits, which means he's seeing every move that we make, and he's also cognizant of every thought that crosses our mind. And whenever there's a thought in our mind that I want to do this, a simple thought like I want to lift this pen, I want to move my mouse, I want to ride a bicycle, whatever is the thought that we have, we cannot accomplish that without the permission of Kṛṣṇa. That's why he's known as both overseer as well as the permitter. Okay. So, Purport, Prabhupada, by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is stated here that the super soul, who's always with the individual soul, is a representation of the Supreme Lord. Excuse me. He is not an ordinary living entity. Because the monist philosophers take the knower of the body to be one, they think that there is no difference between super soul and the individual soul. To clarify this, the Lord says he is represented as the Paramatma in every body. He is different from the individual soul. He is para or transcendental. The individual soul enjoys the activities of a particular field, which is body, but the super soul is present not as a finite enjoyer, nor as one taking part in the bodily activities, but as the witness or the overseer, upadrishta, permitter, anumanta, and the supreme enjoyer. After all, everything that we enjoy goes to Kṛṣṇa. His name is Paramatma, not Atma.
Atma.
And he is transcendental. Of course,
Para.
Atma is also transcendental, but Paramatma is more strong than the Atma. It is distinctly clear that the Atma and Paramatma are different. The super soul, the Paramatma, has legs and hands everywhere, but the individual soul does not. And because the Paramatma is the Supreme Lord, he is present within to sanction the individual soul's desiring material enjoyment. Without the sanction of the Supreme Soul, the individual soul cannot do anything. The individual is bhukta, or the sustained, and the Lord is the bhokta, or the maintainer. So bhukta and bhokta. There are innumerable living entities, and he's staying in them as a friend. This is very important to understand that Lord in the heart is a friend. He's not our enemy. The fact is that...
Mataji, can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Without the sanction of the Supreme Soul, the individual soul cannot do anything.
Correct.
At the same time, you said the super soul is watching.
He's watching
what we are
and
doing.
he's both. He's upadrishta and anumanta also.
Oh, both are.
He's doing both the things. He's giving
Okay.
permission, right? And that's a very valid point that you bring in, or a question that will come into your mind, or maybe is already there in your mind, is that if Kṛṣṇa is giving permission, for a person is thinking, right, feeling, willing, and now wants to act, right? So at that time, before he can act, Kṛṣṇa is giving him the permission. Actually, Kṛṣṇa also gave him the permission to think. So how does Kṛṣṇa permit bad things? Because a lot of people do bad things, eh?
But he's just two birds on the tree. You see that thing?
No, that is fine. He's watching. He's watching.
He's watching when we are doing bad things.
It's a
he's
basic
watching
question.
That your karma you do.
It's a basic question. It's a very basic question, that why does Kṛṣṇa give permission? Like, would you give permission to your child if they want to say, I want to do that?
No. That's what my question.
You won't give, right? So then in contrast, it seems that Kṛṣṇa is giving permission, or seems he gives permission for even bad things, right?
Then that way, everybody will say, I do bad things. Oh, Kṛṣṇa gave me permission. That is not the way. No, that is not the answer for
What
that.
do you
Your free will, Mataji.
Sorry?
Free will, your free will.
He has given you the free will, right? And he will go along. But then one might just say that, okay, that is fine. But then what about, but why still allow somebody to do something wrong?
Yeah.
Right? For example, if my doctor has told me not to eat too many sweets, and I go and eat sweet, Kṛṣṇa, you were my friend in my heart.
That's
Why
what
did
I'm
you
saying.
not stop me?
Yeah.
Right? My free will. Okay, my free will is there.
And you're letting me do. You're
letting me do it, right? So why did you give me free will? Right? That's a question that we ask sometimes, Kṛṣṇa. So keep that in mind, that whatever Kṛṣṇa allows, and it's a very far-fetched thing, difficult to understand. Whatever Kṛṣṇa allows you to do, which is everything, he does it for your ultimate good. Okay? So the day I eat too much of sweets and my legs are swollen and my head is dizzy because of the sugar high, then I will remember and learn the lesson, hopefully. And if I don't learn, then the lessons will come again and again. So that is why even if you're seem to be doing bad things, then overall still, there is some good coming out. For example, a very far-fetched connection is that Duryodhana did a lot of bad things. But if he had not done the bad thing, Gita would not have been spoken. And see how much good Gita is doing. Right? So we never doubt the wisdom of Kṛṣṇa as he does.
99.9% people will do something or other bad things. Not 100% people will be pure, and Mataji. Except gurus and except about that people.
Right.
But not normal people I'm talking about.
Right, right.
And so that is, Krishna has to help them, not to stop them, not to do.
As an interesting thing, and you brought in the things about two birds, right?
Yeah.
So there's one bird sitting on the tree.
Watching, one
Tree,
bird
this
is
material
watching, one
world
bird
is
is
a
eating.
tree. The material world is like a tree, right? And
Yeah.
on this tree, there are various branches of the tree, and there are fruits also on this tree. And so
Two
one
birds
bird
are there.
is constantly, facing, oh, this is a tree. And then one bird is sitting and eating from here. He goes to this branch, to this branch, to this branch. He constantly goes in various places. Sometimes the fruit is sweet. He's happy. Sometimes the fruit is bitter. He doesn't know till he bites. And sometimes he's unhappy, right? Behind him is the super soul watching him. And he's not doing anything to him. Not
Another
saying
bird.
anything. But then the first bird turns its face towards Kṛṣṇa. Right? When you turn your face towards Kṛṣṇa, then Kṛṣṇa takes control of your life. So a bhakta's life is not controlled. I heard one of you say it is the karma. A bhakta's life is not controlled by karma. A bhakta's life is controlled by Kṛṣṇa. Actually, Radharani controls their life. So sometimes even in the life of good devotees, exalted devotees, you will see bad things happening. And then we ask the question, why do bad things happen to good people? Right? Because again, Kṛṣṇa is making that happen so that they will get detached from this material world faster and sooner. Because Kṛṣṇa wants his devotees back with him very soon, because nobody misses us like Kṛṣṇa misses us. Most of us don't want to go back to Godhead. It's fine. Life is good. So the Lord is always eager to take him back to the spiritual energy, but due to his minute independence, as Sutapa Mataji also pointed out, the individual entity is continually rejecting the association of spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditioned nature. The Lord, therefore, is always giving instruction from within. Varshana Mataji, another verse from the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is therefore always giving instruction from within and from without. From within. Teshameva partha aham ajnanatam jam tamaha nasham atma bhavosto jnanadipena bhajasa. So what he does is that sitting from inside, he will give the knowledge to people. And outside, of course, he comes as the guru. From without, he gives instructions as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and from within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material world are not conducive to real happiness. Just give it up and turn your faith towards me, then you will be happy, he says. Thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in the Paramatma or the Supreme Personality of Godhead begins to advance towards a blissful eternal life of knowledge, right? So everything that is happening to us, if we start looking at all that in the context that, Kṛṣṇa is doing this for me, and whatever Kṛṣṇa does for me is always the best thing for me, right? Then by default, you will be happy. Because our unhappiness comes because we start to make our own plan, right? We start to make our own plan, and when it clashes with Kṛṣṇa's plan and is opposite or orthogonal, going in a different direction to what Kṛṣṇa's plan is, then we lament, and then we curse, and we criticize, we get angry with Kṛṣṇa, and so on and so forth, right? But we have to remember, as long as we remember that Kṛṣṇa is the source of everything, and Kṛṣṇa is in my heart as my friend, and all things are coming from Kṛṣṇa, and all things are happening through Kṛṣṇa. Upadrishta anumanta. He's seeing all that. Right? So we have to be in there, right?
It's a very tough question, tough answer, I think. Kṛṣṇa, as you're saying that we heard a lot of stories. Previous karma, like Dhritarashtra is there. We go over previous karma for him. Is that right? He became blind.
Yes.
And
yes,
he
but
has
what I was
hundreds
but what I was saying was that when you become a devotee of the Lord, to the extent you become a devotee of the Lord, in that to the proportion in which you are Kṛṣṇa conscious, to that proportion he will take the reins. Right? If you want to take
he paid the karma, no?
Yeah, but Dhritarashtra is not a devotee of the Lord.
Okay.
Is he? He was not,
But
right?
okay, Yudhishthira Maharaj.
Yeah.
He is a devotee of the Lord. Pandavas are all devotees of
Yes.
the Lord.
Yes.
But they went through a lot of tough things.
And that's what I'm saying. Good things happen, bad things happen to good people. And then whatever Kṛṣṇa does, as long as Kunti, look at Kunti Maharani.
Yeah.
Right? We did the prayers.
Yeah.
Tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanat yatyat apunar bhava darshanat. She said, I want to see you. I will bring on the calamity because I get to see you. I get to remember you.
Yeah,
Like
she
that.
wanted all that.
Because
That's what it is.
Japataka Maharaj is going through so much. You see.
Yeah.
He fell sick so many times.
Yes, he's been sick so many times, and through his life, he's also demonstrating that extreme dedication. And we, as his disciples, Siksha disciples, or other just devotees watching him, might just think that he's going in so much of pain.
Yeah.
We might think, right? But he's not. He's in joy because he's beyond this bodily concept of life.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah.
Yes, every time it Krishna's plan, but we also plan something, and like we have to, like after 1 month I will go there, or I will make some reservation that I will travel or something. So that means if Krishna doesn't want, you cannot go. That I understood.
Correct.
But
Correct.
is there any particular reason that may not, means why he won't be giving me the permission to go?
For your, like I said, for your ultimate good. Because you didn't go there, so you do not know what would have happened if you had gone there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some
you do not know
serious
that.
thing would have happened. He stopped it. That's how we'll take it.
Yeah. And so, right. And to that, and also to add to that, that one might just think that if Krishna is doing all the planning, what is the need for me to do the planning? Let me not plan at all, right? But we always say, even devotees should plan the day, right? So the mood in which you plan, right? The mood in which you plan should be different. We plan in the mood of a servant. If Krishna is willing, I will go to Bombay, right? If Krishna is willing, I will do this, I'll do that.
there is background noise, Mataji. I cannot hear you properly.
From where is the background noise coming? Can everybody mute themselves, please? Okay, yeah. So I was just saying that the mood in which a devotee plans is very different from the mood in which other people's plan, right? I mean, Kamsa had made such a nice plan from the planning perspective. And then he was executing also that plan so very nicely, right? If a child is born in Vrindavan, go and kill every child because one of them could be Kṛṣṇa.
Yeah.
Right, Gokul. So like that. And so people do plan, people do execute, but a devotee executes the plan in a very different manner. The way we even pray to Kṛṣṇa, which is also a plan and a request, is very different in the sense that, we will pray and then in the end we will say if Kṛṣṇa is willing. And when whatever we plan, when the plans go haywire, people who are not Kṛṣṇa conscious, they get very, very upset. Very, very upset. Right? But when a devotee, when things don't go according to a devotee's plan, what does a devotee say?
I did it.
Krishna's mercy.
No, mercy, no.
Mercy.
I wanted something and didn't happen.
Krishna's plan.
Devotee, what does the devotee say?
Devotee say, I wanted something, it didn't happen. But we won't say that Kṛṣṇa didn't let me go, but Kṛṣṇa has some plans. We won't say that.
We won't say that?
Normally, people won't say that.
I'm talking about devotees.
Devotee thinks Kṛṣṇa.
What does
Yes,
devotee?
I
That's
leave
what I'm
everything.
asking.
Because
Must be some good in that plan.
Because
Correct,
something good is there, that's why Kṛṣṇa didn't let
He
me
will
go.
just say, he will just say that Teri marji, O Datta, Teri marji, right? It was your plan, it was your will. And there must be something good in me. That's why they're doing it.
Even my granddaughters, I feel that way, Mataji.
There you go.
Something would have gone more, but she's at least half body and now she went to med school. She got admission in there.
There you go.
So something good Kṛṣṇa must have seen for her.
Yes.
So whatever she wanted, he's letting do. She got the seed there.
There you go.
That's how we had to take it.
There's a small
So you
story,
see-
Mataji, if you allow me to say it.
Okay. Tell me.
Hare Krishna.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Mataji, there was a doctor, he was traveling. There was a doctor and he was traveling. He went by air. But on the way, you see, because of the tribulation, the pilot announced that we will have to land somewhere in the middle. So he went and really shouted at the pilot that, why are you doing this? I had very important meeting and I had to reach there. And he said, no, I can't do it. So he, you see, landed there and in the midway somewhere. And there was another person, he said, don't worry, you can take a taxi and you will reach that particular place where you have to go in just 4 hours. He took the taxi and went. He was going on the way, a lot of, you see, wind and rain. It started raining. And this driver, he lost his way. And on the way, he had to stop. There was one hut, so he stopped there. He went inside and the lady said, open, the door is open, you can come in. So he went in and the lady was reading Bhagavad Gita. And then he said, he spoke to her and he said, do you have phone? I want to call somebody. And she says, I don't have any phone or anything. She was looking at her grandson. And she said, what happened to this child? He is in the bed. And he says he has cancer and I don't have money. I can only pray to the Lord to take care of him. And he was an oncologist, Mataji. And on the way he said, don't worry, Ma, I will take care of this child. I'm a doctor. So he takes him, does that surgery, and the child gets cured. I was just thinking, look at this, you see, Kṛṣṇa has such plans, you see, he really arranges things. So that was one thing. Really, I felt
Class
that
dismissed.
Kṛṣṇa is one who can do anything.
Yeah. Class
Hare
dismissed.
Krishna.
Nothing to be said after that.
What?
You said it all.
That really, that
It
is,
tells
that is
you,
amazing.
answers the question, why things, why Kṛṣṇa arranges things
That
in
is Kṛṣṇa's mercy. Yeah.
Kṛṣṇa's mercy. That comes like that, right? So,
And
yeah.
then Mataji people say, Kṛṣṇa you can see Kṛṣṇa in any other form also. But sometimes the people come and talk like that. So you see Kṛṣṇa in them, actually.
Yes.
That's how we have to take it, Mataji.
Yes. And Kṛṣṇa
That
is
belief I have.
Yeah. And Kṛṣṇa always says, Kṛṣṇa also mentions that I am in everything and everything is in me.
Yeah.
Right. So what does that mean? Everything is in me. Right.
Any form
So
he can come in front of
so
you.
he's in everything. We saw that previous few verses, but annantarastha parmanu antarastham, that he goes even into the atoms, right?
Yeah.
But what does it mean? Everything is under me means that everything is under Kṛṣṇa's control. Whether you believe in God or do not believe in God, you are under Kṛṣṇa's control. And there's a very famous story which talks about Pascal's wager. Pascal, wager means bet, bazi lagana, bet lagana. So Pascal was a person, he's a famous, artist and compositioner. So he said that, okay, there are two things. One is God exists, and another is that God does not exist. Okay? One, God exists, other, God does not exist. Now you are supposed to make a bet. Should I bet on the fact that God does not exist and lead my life with that notion? Or should I bet on the other horse which says God exists and live my life like that? So let us see. And he recommends one thing, which horse you should bet on. And then he gives an explanation. Okay. So now let's see. Suppose we said that God exists. Okay. God exists. We put the bet on that horse.
Yeah.
And we lived a very nice life. Okay. Very proper, prim and proper, everything we did good. Sattvic bhojan, chanting, everything we did. And in the end, you realize that there is no God. There is nothing that you lost. You just lived a good life, a good person, right? Now, on the other hand, if you bet on that there is no God and you lived your life in an ungodly manner, undevotee, non-devotee manner, and then God exists,
In that day, you come
then you have lost your bet terribly.
He saves.
Right? So he says, Pascal's wager says, it is better to believe that God exists.
Very
Hence, like that, right? So that's the conclusion that he comes to, right? So here we are also talking about, he also talked about pralayah, right? He also talks about pralayah, right?
Yeah,
In that
pralayas.
verse? Okay.
Prabhavaḥ,
Prabhavaḥ, pralayas,
pralayas,
ahaṁ,
tathā.
right? So I wanted to see a little bit, I want to give you a glimpse of pralaya from the eyes of Srimad Bhagavatam. And pralaya is not going to come right now for us. There are many years
China,
still.
they are having a lot of
And
pralayas.
so what you should do is that you should try to get out of this material world before that happens. Okay?
That's true.
So I'm going to bring up this one. This is a story from Srimad Bhagavatam, and the canto is 12 and the chapter is 9.
Markandeya Rishi sees the illusory potency of the Lord.
So here I'm going to just pick up from a little further into the chapter because we're running out of time. So here. Okay, I can even start from here. That doesn't matter. I can read a little bit. Sutta Goswami said, the Supreme Lord Narayan, the friend of Nara and Narayan, like that, right? Friend of Nara was satisfied by the proper glorification offered by the intelligent sage Markandeya. He has written the Mundu Upanishad. Thus the Lord addressed that excellent descendant of Bhrigu. Right? So Markandeya comes from the Bhrigu dynasty. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Markandeya, you are indeed the best of all learned Brahmanas. You have perfected your life by practicing fixed meditation upon the Supreme Soul, as well as by focusing upon me, your undeviated devotional service, your austerities, your study of the Vedas, and your strict adherence to the regulative principles. We are perfectly satisfied with your practice of lifelong celibacy. Please choose whatever benediction you desire, since I can grant your wish. May you enjoy all good fortune. The sage Markandeya, in this case, said, O Lord of Lords, all glories to you. O Lord Achyuta, you remove all distress for the devotees who surrender unto you. That you have allowed me to see you is all the benediction that I want. Such demigods as Lord Brahma achieved their exalted position simply by seeing your beautiful lotus feet after their minds had become mature in yoga practice. And now, my Lord, you have personally appeared before me. O lotus-eyed Lord, O crest jewel of renowned personalities, although I'm satisfied simply by seeing you, I do wish to see your illusory potency. He wanted to see Maya. Right? I want to see your illusory potency by whose influence the entire world, together with its ruling demigods, considers reality to be materially variegated. Sutta Goswami said, O Vaishyanaka, thus satisfied by Markandeya's praise and worship, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, smiling, replied, so be it, and then departed for his hermitage at Bhaddikashram. Thinking always of his desire to see the Lord's illusory energy, the sage remained in his ashram, meditating constantly upon the Lord within fire, the sun, the moon, water, earth, air, lightning, Bhumi, Apo, Analo, right? And his own heart, and worshipping him with paraphernalia conceived in his mind. But sometimes, overwhelmed by waves of love for the Lord, Markandeya would forget to perform his regular worship. O Brahmana Shaunaka, best of the Bhrigus, one day while Markandeya was performing his evening worship on the bank of the Pushpabhadra, it's a river, a great wind suddenly arose. That wind created a terrible sound and brought in its wake fearsome clouds that were accompanied by lightning and roaring thunder that poured down all sides, torrents of rain as heavy as wagon wheels. Then the four great oceans appeared on all sides, swallowing up the surface of the earth with their wind-tossed waves. And these oceans were terrible sea monsters, fearful whirlpools, and ominous grumblings. The sea saw all the inhabitants of the universe, including himself, tormented within and without by the harsh winds, the bolts of lightning, and the great waves rising beyond the sky. As the whole earth flooded, he grew perplexed and fearful. Even as Markandeya looked upon, the rain pouring down the clouds filled the ocean more and more until that great sea, its waters violently whipped into terrifying waves by hurricanes, covered all of the earth's islands, mountains, and continents. The water inundated the earth, outer space, heaven, and the celestial region. Indeed, the entire expanse of the universe was flooded in all directions, and out of all its inhabitants, only Markandeya remained. His matted hair scattered. The great sage wandered about alone in the water as if dumb and blind. Tormented by hunger and thirst, attacked by monstrous makaras and timingila fish, and battered by the wind and waves, he moved aimlessly through the infinite darkness into which he had fallen. As he grew increasingly exhausted, he lost all sense of direction and could not tell the sky from the earth. At times he was engulfed by great whirlpools, sometimes he was beaten by the mighty waves, and other times the aquatic monsters threatened to devour him as they attacked one another. Sometimes he felt lamentation, bewilderment, misery, happiness, or fear, and at other times he experienced such terrible illness and pain that he felt himself dying. Countless millions of years passed as Markandeya wandered about in that deluge, his mind bewildered by the illusory energy of Lord Viṣṇu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once, while wandering in the water, the Brahmana Markandeya discovered a small island upon which stood a young banyan tree bearing blossoms and fruits. Upon a branch on the northeast portion of the tree, he saw an infant boy lying within a leaf. The child's effulgence was swallowing up the darkness. The infant's dark blue complexion was the color of a flawless emerald. His lotus face shone with a wealth of beauty, and his throat bore marks like the lines on a conch shell. He had a broad chest, a finely shaped nose, beautiful eyebrows, and lovely ears that resembled pomegranate flowers, and that had inner folds like a conch shell's spirals. The corners of his eyes were reddish like the whorl of a lotus, and the effulgence of his coral-like lips slightly reddened the nectarian enchanting smile on his face. As he breathed, his splendid hair trembled, and his deep navel became distorted by the moving folds of skin on his abdomen, which resembled a banyan leaf. The exalted Brahmin watched with amazement as the infant took hold of one of his lotus feet with his graceful fingers, placed a toe within his mouth, and began to suck. As Markandeya beheld the child, all his weariness vanished. Indeed, so great was his pleasure that the lotus of his heart, along with his lotus eyes, fully blossomed, and the hairs on his body stood on end. Confused as to the identity of the wonderful infant, the sage approached him. Just then the child inhaled, drawing Markandeya within his body like a mosquito. There the sage found the entire universe arrayed as if it had been before its dissolution. Seeing this, Markandeya was most astonished and perplexed. The sage saw the entire universe, the sky, heavens and earth, the stars, mountains, oceans, great islands and continents, the expanses in every direction, the saintly and demoniac living beings, the forest, countries, rivers, cities and mines, the agricultural villages and cow pastures, and the occupational and spiritual activities of the various social divisions. He also saw the basic elements of creation along with all their byproducts, as well as time itself, which regulates the progression of countless ages within the days of Brahma. In addition, he saw everything else created or used in material life. All this he saw manifested before him as if it was real. He saw before him the Himalaya mountains, the Pushpata river, and his own hermitage, where he had the audience of the sages Narnarayan. Then, as Markandeya beheld the entire universe, the infant exhaled, expelling the sage from his body and casting him back into the ocean of dissolution. In that vast sea, he again saw the banyan tree growing on the tiny island and the infant boy lying within the leaf. The child glanced at him from the corner of his eyes with a smile imbued with the nectar of love, and Markandeya took him into his heart through his eyes. Greatly agitated, the sage ran to embrace the transcendental personality of Godhead. At that moment, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original master of all mysticism and who is hidden within everyone's heart, became invisible to the sage, just as the achievements of an incompetent person can suddenly vanish. After the Lord disappeared, O Brahmana, the banyan tree, the great water, and the dissolution of the universe all vanished as well, and in an instant, Markandeya found himself back in his own hermitage, just as before. So,
Is that Vatapatra Sai?
my advice to you is let's not linger in this material world longer than is needed. You've got a human body. You are in Kali Yuga, where just by chanting the names of the Lord, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama,
A simple thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us.
Gatir Anyata. So in this spiritual world, in this Kali Yuga, you can go back to the spiritual world just by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So don't stay here till the dissolution happens, because it's devastating to anybody and everybody. Okay, so I'll stop here now. I'll just be here till say 7:06 because I have a hard stop.
Leaf and that small child, I get the imagination of Vatapatra Sai.
That is what he is.
That is what he is. Yeah. That's beautiful that he lies on the leaf.
Right. Yes. Any other question?
No, but it's very difficult to get out of this.
What can get you out? What can get you out?
Just
Hare
focusing
Nama,
on the
Hare
lotus.
Nama, Hare Nama, Kevalam, Kalavana.
Yeah, devotional service.
Eva.
And even we have loads of...
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us easy thing, Mataji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Jai. That's all.
There you go.
Mataji, I know
Every
it's very
Friday you have
late,
meetings,
but
Mataji.
I want to reduce, means I want to decrease my attachment more and more.
Yes. And how will you decrease your attachment, right? And we had talked about that, that our attachments to the material world are, and they give us grief, is because of our detachment with Krishna. Okay? So don't try to detach yourself from whatever is around you. Okay? Instead, you try to attach yourself to Krishna, then other things will remain as it is, but your viewpoint on that is going to change.
Yeah.
Right?
But mostly when
it's like, oh, how do I detach myself from my husband? Okay. And then you sit down, the mind is going to tell you, you remember when you were very sick, your husband took care of you. Remember that if you do that, a husband is getting old. What is going to happen? You can't do that. Mind is going to tell you all that, right? But when you, and this is what I also said here in today's verse, is that when you attach yourself to Krishna and you start seeing everything through the light eyes of Krishna, then you will also see that everything is connected to Krishna, right? Everything is connected to Krishna, and then you will know that, okay, so all these people who are around me, why should I be detached to them? Because I'm seeing them in the light of being connected to Krishna, then that's fine. It's okay to be connected, but that mood should be there in you. Right?
Yeah,
that I'm connected to such and such a person because he's connected to Krishna. Right? If you love somebody, then you love their mother, father, brother, sister, everybody. Right?
But Krishna says, if you detach from there, only you can attach to me.
Yes, Krishna says, if you detach from there, you will attach to me. But then, from where does it start? It will start with a little attachment.
Attachment.
Adav Shraddha, tathā sadhu sangha. Right? So slowly you will do. And so it's what comes first, Krishna or, it's a chicken and egg theory. But then you have to start somewhere. You start with Krishna. Prabhupada also says that, even if you don't believe there's Krishna, you assume there is Krishna and then you start. Rest will get taken care of.
Krishna will take care. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, dear devotees.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Every Friday you go for meeting, Mataji?
Every Fridays I have meeting at work.
Why every Friday?
Why every Friday? I work.
No, put on Thursday. Then
Yeah.
Friday we can have.
I work for somebody.
Longer time.
I don't have a choice, right? Yeah, we're all servants. Yeah. Okay. I also wanted to let you know that next Saturday is my Guru Maharaj's Vyas Puja in ISKCON of Silicon Valley. All of you are most invited. Welcome to watch it. It'll be on Facebook page for ISKCON of Silicon Valley. It'll also be on Fan the Spark Facebook page.
Fan the Spark, yeah.
Broadcast the whole Vyas Puja. And then, so that's on Saturday. And then Sunday, also we have initiation ceremonies in the temple and also a disciple sangha. So those 2 days are going to be extremely busy for me. And then leading up to the Vyas
So
Puja.
Friday we won't be having class.
You
That's
said
what
it.
you're going to say.
You said it. There you go. You have become now Bhavishya Gyani.
I saw you. No, I saw your
Got it coming.
face. I got the answer.
There you go. So, Vindhyavali Mataji.
Mataji. I don't know how to.
Patitanam Pavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo. But we will be meeting this Sunday, okay? Sunday at 6:30 we'll be meeting for the
Sunday I get the sloka. I read the sloka for
awesome.
I don't know whether you heard or not mine.
You go and check whether I heard or not.
I don't want to ask.
Okay, on that
I got the answer again.